Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good afternoon and welcome to Fade to Black Cinema. I'm Michael, your Bougie Black Brother, and I'm here with my co-host, Alicia.
Hello.
And we're here for our movie review, and we're still checking out a couple of cartoon comic book characters. And this week we're back from seeing Aquaman. Aquaman. And starring Jason Momoa, our buddy from Game of Thrones. And he's the main character. So I thought that this was going to be very, very interesting because growing up with the DC comic books, Aquaman was the blonde-haired white guy that jumped around in the water and told the fish what to do. And so I was part of that group that said, this dude is one of the most worthless damn characters in the DC universe because he didn't seem to be too strong. He couldn't fly. He avoided a lot of contact. So I was like, how are we going to do anything with goddamn Aquaman? So this was a little odd. But when they put Jason Momoa out there, I was like, okay, different look.
Oh my God.
Different
that boy is
everything.
Sexy. He is sexy.
So it was like really interesting to say how they was going to add him in. So we first saw him in Justice League.
Right.
And, Batman trying to find all of these people. And he showed up pretty damn good because when he showed up in there, what was your thoughts, man?
Oh, in Justice League, I was like, I had to watch it again to find out where he came from when they did the Aquaman. I was like, well, why did they bring him into the Justice League? Because I didn't understand why they would need somebody like Aquaman. Mm-hmm. But he was when they did it, I was like, okay, I understand why they did it. Right. But then again, they really didn't need him in there overall. He was just another superhero.
But he's part of the Justice League in the comic books, so they had to bring him in. But even within the comics, you would have probably said the same thing as, why are y'all bringing him in?
Yeah.
But I think they advanced his powers he was strong as Superman. He can swim to the lowest depths and breathe without air because he can live underwater and things in that matter. So they kind of highlighted a lot of his powers in the current sector of what superheroes were.
Right.
So they did a whole twist of it because going into the movie, you just saw he was coming out and hanging out on the ocean with some people, and he was a rebel and he was a half breed and everything, and like that.
Right.
So they did some things in that matter. So, but let me do the quick summary because I didn't do that the last time. But the summary of the movie was, once home to the most advanced civilization on Earth, the city of Atlantis is now an underwater kingdom ruled by the power-hungry King Om. With a vast army at his disposal, Om plans to conquer the remaining oceanic people and then the surface world. Standing in his way is Aquaman, Om's half-brother, half-Atlantean brother, and the true heir to the throne. With help from his royal counselor Volko, Aquaman must retrieve the legendary trident of Atlantin and embrace his destiny as protector of the deep. So that's what that was. And we just see as his history and went back, and I think his father was Native American, right?
Yes.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
But my girl was on it, Nicole Kidman. She was Queen Atlantina or whatever that is.
Right.
But she came up, he saved her life, and she decided to stay on the surface, and they had a child. And then they finally came after her, and she said, she has to go back, and she'll be back. But she left him alone with her father and sent our boy, what's his name? William Dafoe. That's what it was. Volko. William Dafoe was teaching him the ways of the Atlanteans and everything. So it made it interesting that how he needed to be the king of the seven seas, as we used to call him, and that's made it a little interesting from that. But overall, the storyline was him saving his kingdom and becoming the heir to Atlantis with his little new girlfriend, Amber Heard, or Mira.
Yeah.
She was the redhead, but she's actually not redhead. She's a blonde as well. But she has her own little special powers, which was kind of cool. And he realized that he had powers that he can speak to the
What
the
is it? Fish.
and
Yeah, fish.
everybody that lives under the water that's not human or Atlantean. So you go through the process of them trying to find the trident and go from that, so he can go up against his brother, the Ocean Master, and going from that. But other than that, as you was going through this, what was your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was good. I mean, the story was okay, good. That sounded like something that you would say that he had to do, being Aquaman. Fight for his territory,
Yeah.
trying to save the world from people who want to control the water. People want to control the whole world.
The surface part.
Yeah, it's like, but I like the effects of it, how they really did a really good job of that. But overall, I mean, it was all right.
Okay.
It was. I mean, it was all right.
So I was talking to a couple of friends, and we were talking about it, and I was like, "Man, there was a whole lot of special effects in this."
Yeah,
bitch.
special
And I was
effects.
like, "There's a lot," but they said so. They was under the water, dude. So it had to be special effects because they was under the water, and I was like, "Yeah, oh, okay. I guess you're right because." If you're under the water, you had to show something totally different than being on the surface. And a lot of the activity was under the water. So I had to kind of say, okay,
Yeah, he's right.
I get that. Okay. So I had to kind of accept the fact that the special effects was needed because you had to show that this is how they lived under the damn water.
I guess I have to see it again because I mean, thinking that it's underwater.
Yeah, because I didn't take it that way until they actually told me, like, well, if it was on the surface you didn't get a lot.
Yeah, I mean they did their whole fighting scene on the surface, which was kind of cool.
But that was regular stuff.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't look like totally over the top. You've
Right.
seen that in The Bourne Identity,
Yeah,
or James Bond.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff was kind of
Mission
cool.
Impossible, yeah, kinda-
exactly.
Yeah.
But all of the real special effects was under the water, and he just made me had to think, dude, you're gonna have to have shit like that under the water now. And you had sharks, and they was riding sharks and seahorses, and crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
But I was okay. I kind of started to understand it and go, oh, okay.
And then you have the black man who wasn't
So
in
Black
the-
Manta,
Yeah,
that's a real character.
Right.
So if you didn't know that, Black Manta in the Aquaman comic books, he is a real character. So that was one of his villains.
okay.
So that was kind of cool because as soon as he put that helmet on, I was like, oh, it's Black Manta. That's who it is. So I remember who he was. So that kind of worked out to create another villain, because if they're going to do another one of that, then you probably have Black Manta and a couple of, I think it was Hammerhead or Shark, something. They got a couple of other characters under the water that he has villains that he's going to have to go with. But if you compare this, so we went with Batman, which was, you had a couple of different iterations of that. You had the Michael Keaton, and then you had the Christopher Nolan series, and then you had now the Ben Affleck. And then from Ben Affleck, Batman, to the Superman, and then from Batman, Superman to Justice League, then from Justice League to Wonder Woman, and then from Wonder Woman to Aquaman. So with all of those and proceeding on to create this DC universe, they forgot Flash, because Flash is a series on TV that we watched for a couple of seasons.
Yep.
Which we enjoyed, but when
The Flash is from Justice League was not didn't seem like the one on the TV series.
So there's so many. The problem is remember when you see the Flash on TV, there's multi universes of Flashes. So when you go to the comic book, it depends on who you follow. You don't know which Flash that you're really looking at.
Okay.
So
I guess the way they did it.
So they did a better job with the TV series.
Yes, that's what I want to say.
So
yes.
So I agree with you. So this kid was a little weak. But we don't know his origin story or whatever like that. So they would have to really build him back up because I didn't like his character as much as I thought I would. But they would have to build him up. But see, so this is the build up from Flash. You already got Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and now Aquaman. But now the next one is Cyborg and Flash. And what they ruined was actually Green Lantern. So they would still have to bring Green Lantern out totally all over again because he's part of the Justice League as well.
Okay.
So then you'll have the core group of the Justice League heroes and go from there. So that's really key. But now these origin stories have to come out so people will be able to understand where they came from, what are their powers, and what's their background. But overall, with this, I just thought that it was okay. It wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad.
So,
but I guess that I guess I'm leaning more towards Marvel,
and that's a problem.
I think that's kind of like kind of Marvel is like so exciting.
Yeah, they set the bar.
They sure did. I'm sorry,
but you got to take DC as it is. If you try to compare them, then all of these will be terrible.
Yeah.
You will be like, these are the worst. God, they don't even know how to do this right.
Yeah.
But they doing it their own way, and they're trying to be. They're doing a better job because this director is totally different than the other directors. The Wonder Woman director is totally different than the other directors as well. So they're trying to be unique, just like the Marvel Universe did, because you got Thor has his own directors. You got Iron Man that had different directors. You had the Spider-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and all of them had pretty much almost their own different kind of directors. But at the end, that's when the Russo brothers brought it all together because they were the better of the directors, and they was able to do a better job. So with these ones going on, they really trying to establish a good core group so people will follow these series so they can start expanding the DC universe. But it's going so slow because they haven't done a good job. And that's the problem. It's a slow process because they got to refine it per character. And that's where I think they're failing at. But overall, I mean, I really think I liked a lot of the characters that was on there. I like the kind of origin story to give me an idea. I don't have to go to Atlantis all the time now. I can have him come out of there and do other stuff.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Right. Because, I like the fact that he can be on both.
Yeah.
But I also like you said, how they started the story, how he became Aquaman. That was interesting, because knowing where he all started, how he came into being Aquaman.
Right.
I like the fact that they talked about his mother.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I love how she was like she wasn't dead, and in my mind, I knew she wasn't dead. I just figured they had her in prison somewhere and just didn't.
Yeah. So that's good point. So I thought they imprisoned her.
Yeah, me too. But for some reason, they told her that she was dead.
Yeah.
But I just something in me. I said they had to, like
Something
she said,
happened.
yeah. They said
Something
she was supposed to get killed, but she got away, and that's where she happened to be found in some other area that she couldn't get out of.
Yeah. So she wound up just staying there.
Right,
basically.
which I thought was good that she even explained herself, because she didn't seem like the kind of person that will allow people to to kill her.
Oh, she was strong.
Yeah,
She established that at the beginning of.
Yes, she did,
and I love that.
Yes.
So the introduction was, Nicole Kidman, and I think his name is Tamura Morrison.
Yeah, he's from Australia.
Yeah, he's Australian.
Yeah, okay. He's from Australia.
So
New Zealand.
So they introduced their relationship with the child and who she was, and all of that was like really, really cool. And then it went into the child, and then as the child was growing up, and then current day. You know what I mean? So
And I really like, because he was cool in the current day. I love the fact that he was he lived on, on the land and worked and whatever. And but another thing they did was he still was connected up to the water world.
oh yeah,
Because they showed parts of him when he was younger, and the guy was training him. What was
William Dafoe.
Yeah, William Dafoe was
Yeah,
training him,
the
and
Dafoe.
I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So they still kept him connected up, and I
Yeah.
liked that too. So, I mean,
So he wasn't on his own that didn't know anything about
right,
himself.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, I could say that the storyline kind of made sense.
they did a good job with it. Was it compatible to the Marvel universe?
You
No.
said you said don't compare it.
Yep, I said no, but they did a good job,
You
and
said-
I did appreciate what they were trying to do.
If there was somebody similar to Aquaman in the Marvel world, let's see him.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's Prince Namor.
Okay, then I want to see.
But here's the difference with him. His ass, he's badass. He's a king, and everybody who deals with him say he's just arrogant. He doesn't care about nobody,
But see-
and he beats they ass.
But
he's
everybody-
hardcore.
But everybody in Marvel, well, besides Iron Man and what's his name? The goodness, the professor with the cape.
The professor with the cape.
Yeah,
The professor.
the one who has the cape.
That's Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. Oh, I mean, those were arrogant men
Yeah,
too.
they are because they're brilliant. They're arrogant because they're brilliant. These two guys are brilliant men that happen to have superpowers. You know what I mean? They don't. He has magic, and is a technical genius. Prince Namor is from Atlantis, and he's the king of Atlantis. And the way Aquaman is, that's what Prince Namor is time 10.
Okay.
But he comes out and he rides water. He makes the water come out. He controls water and everything.
Well, see, he's not no illegitimate child.
No, he's pure. And he runs the kingdom of
Right.
Atlantis.
So that's what makes this a little different. Okay.
So that's why, and that's caught up. Prince Namor is caught up in litigation between who owns him and who doesn't. That's why you really haven't seen him, because when it comes to the major players, is Professor X, it's Doctor Strange, it's Tony Starks, it's Black Panther, and it's Prince Namor. All of those are the main mega leaders that says this is what's going on in the world.
So the thing is will they come out with a movie on him?
You know what? I don't know, because there's so many characters in the Marvel universe that they can go for another 20 years and you still won't get to him yet, because there's so many characters
In between him.
Now DC has characters, but they're not really attractive. Like, you really want to see them. There's so many great Marvel characters that you're like, wow. Because
Yeah.
like one of them, and just for the record, since Disney is coming out with their own channel, they're trying to make small little series like the Netflix series with characters that they weren't going to put on the movie. So they're going to have their own little series.
Their own TV shows.
So they got a character called Moon Knight, and he has psychological issues. And it shows it in the comic book. And I think he's schizophrenic, but he's a fucking superhero. And his ass is crazy, but he's such a great character. So he's like almost like a reverse Batman that happened to be crazy. So it's so cool. Anyway, Disney is really trying to say, I'm pulling all of my Netflix characters from you. I may not even put them back out there, but we own them. But we're going to start creating more on top of that.
Okay. So Aquaman,
So what do you rate it?
I rated a 7.
Oh, okay.
I give it a 7.
That's a little low. I rate it 8 because I'm gonna continue to see this one, like this one and Wonder Woman.
Oh, please.
I could see both of them
Man,
over and over
yeah,
because
it comes
I just
on-
think this one was kind of exciting.
It comes on HBO all the time. I can't get enough of that. That's
Yeah.
Wonder
Now,
Woman.
Justice League, I wanted to see that because Aquaman was coming out.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was.
Yeah, I watched it, and I wanted to see where Aquaman came from, and how to transition into his movie.
Yeah.
So I did get to see that. So, yeah, I gave it 7.
Yeah. So I gave it an 8 because I like it. Not great, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'll watch it again.
And I know I'm going to see it again. I usually, if I'm going to continue to see something, I have it as an 8. Mm-hmm. If like the Batman, Superman, that'll be in the low 7s because I only will look at that because it's part of the series.
Right. Exactly.
I really didn't like it to that point. Justice League, part of the series. But Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they did good jobs with that. Mm-hmm. So I kind of rated that on a higher level with that. But anywho, 7 and an 8. Got a little distance between us. But that's okay. Fade to Black Cinema every Wednesday. Check us out. And you can see our movies review or hear our movie review and TV series and TV movies. We finished up. I finally finished up The Handmaid's Tale, which was like crazy as hell. But really, I didn't think it would be as interesting as the first season.
That shit is so good.
But it kind of blew me away on the second half. So
that shit is good.
We got
as
to see that one as well. But we got a little catch up. This is the new season. This is a new year, actually, 2019. So we see what we have. The
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones coming up.
The final season.
American Gods is coming up.
Yes, American Gods.
Manhunter's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of series that we would really follow, and it's just coming back. And I'm really looking forward to seeing those. And we'll see if Atlanta comes back up, too, because we really didn't do the last one. But that was an amazing series last year, too. But anywho, we'll see you next week. And tune in to Fade to Black Cinema on all podcast downloads. Thank you very much. And bye-bye. Bye.